Louder!
And what's up, everybody, and welcome back to hyPODermic, the pod that sticks you deep. I'm the pod boss, TJ Bowser, and joining me is the maestro of mayhem, the dawn of disaster, Mr. Nick Benson.
How you doing tonight, TJ?
Pretty damn good today. We have a very special episode, but I'll pass things off to Nick. Introduce our special guest.
I got to agree with you, man. This is a real treat, and I didn't think we would get him this soon. But our guest this evening is. Well, let me instead of introducing just who he is, let me tell you he's played Ryuk in Death Note. He played George in Rampage. He was King Ghidorah in Godzilla King of the Monsters, and you might know him more recently as the Chatterer from Hellraiser. Mr. Jason Liles, everyone.
Hi. Hello. Wow. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to chat.
Yeah, we're really happy to have you here.
Very excited to say the least.
Oh, you guys are so kind. I'm very excited to be here, really. And it's always weird when someone lists off like he played that guy and that guy. I'm like, did I?
Well, I have a funny side note for you, Jason. So my youngest daughter was really, really into anime, and one of her favorites was Death Note, and Ryuk was her favorite character.
Oh,
so,
well.
Therefore, you have played my daughter's favorite character.
Hey, there you go. It's funny. Ryuk is my favorite character there as well. So we have something in common. How old is she?
She's now 21.
21. Okay. Very cool. Smart young lady. Very smart. That's so cool. Well, awesome. Well, thank you for having me, man. What do you guys want to talk about? I'm here to talk about whatever.
Well, actually, I'd like to start with, let's go back and talk about what led you here. When you started your path in life, did you know early on that you wanted to do this, or was this just based on a chance that you were this really tall guy and someone saw you and said, hey, man, we could use you for this? Or how did that work?
You know, I always wanted to do it. I always wanted to, from as far back as I can remember, just going over VHS tape after VHS tape. If people don't know what VHS tapes are, they can Google it and figure it out. And going to the movie theaters, and we'd finish a movie, and you know the movie theater's two wings, and you just have to have the ticket to get into the right side or the left side. So we're already the Star Wars VHS is absolutely. Once you're on one side of the movie theater, well, this movie's over, and we can just go in and finish that movie or that movie. We would do that all the time, and but I never believed I could. I'm from Germantown, Tennessee, in the Memphis area, and I kind of call it like it's like the Burbank of Memphis. You know, if downtown Memphis is downtown LA, Burbank is like Germantown. And so I grew up there, but who says I'm gonna move to Memphis and be an actor? I didn't know anybody who'd ever been in anything before, so I never went into. My brother and I made short films, but I never did any theater in high school or and then in fact whenever I did finally decide, which I can get into that, how that happened, what kind of caused that, I actually heard I was too tall, and you know, a couple key images stick out where people didn't believe in me and literally laughed in my face, and it just fueled me. Be like, I'm gonna show you.
Good.
Yeah, I'm gonna show. Thank you for the motivation. I'm gonna show you.
People tell you can't, and those people that you tell that say that they can't do it, they go out and they do it. I love that. That's the story.
Absolutely.
You know as well as I do that the industry is full of those people.
It is
completely full of those people.
It is. It's actually, in my experience, extremely rare that someone tells you to your face.
Yeah.
That you can't do it. Yeah. People might, you know, now with the internet, you can say whatever you want and hide behind a fake name, but it's people are a lot more supportive than negative. They're like, wow, it's so cool. Good for you. Good luck. Or yeah. So, but before I moved to New York, what had led up to that was I went to college and I was undeclared. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I wanted to be an actor, but I didn't believe I could. And what happened was there was a summer when The Dark Knight came out, and I saw The Dark Knight 6 times in the first 2 weeks. I was so inspired by Heath Ledger. I was working at Blockbuster at the time. I rented every single movie he'd ever been in. And I was just so, man, if I could make one person feel the way that these films and his performances are making me feel, I became obsessed. I've got to try. And I just had this pipe dream about New York. And I went to this one college because a girl was going there I liked. And that didn't end up going anywhere, but it led me to that college. And I was undeclared, and I went in, I had an acting class, and the director of theater, I asked him about just, several things. He's like, are you a theater major? I said, no. I said, why not? In my head, I don't believe I could actually do it. So what's the point? He's like, well, why don't you add that class and make your major theater and go audition for the play tonight? And I did. And that year changed everything in his belief in me. And I visited New York as a New York short course that over the winter, and I saw several plays, and I was just like, I've got to do this. I can do this. I know I can do this. And my dad was like, you're not moving to New York. No way. He's picturing like he'd never been. He's just picturing like the 1980s New York where you're going to get murdered in Times Square or something. Yeah. And then we visited, and he falls in love with the city, and several conservatories are offering financial aid because they want me to come there. And one was he said, why do you care if my son comes here? And he said, your son is 6'9" tall. I don't have anybody one day they're going to need somebody with his height, and there's only going to be 5 people they can look at. He's going to get it. And we want to put his face on our billboard and say, win here so we can make more money.
That's amazing.
and my dad was like, you need to be here. So he helped me move there the fall of 2009. And I went to New York Film Academy for a year, studied acting for film there, and found out just how much I did not know about acting. And just, oh my gosh, I didn't know there were all these tools in the whole tool belt, and wow. But I just heard this recurring theme of you're too tall, you're too tall. You're too tall. You're too tall. But I went to Broadway stage doors, and I ran into actors like Jeffrey Rush and James Gandolfini and Susan Sarandon and Jude Law and Hugh Jackman. And they all said, who said you're too tall?
Yeah.
No, there's not enough tall people. That's why you don't see anybody. And I was like, you guys don't think I'm too, everybody else, but you guys have the results. And that was a big place where I didn't really know it, but I know now, be careful who you take advice from. If they don't have the results you want, they probably don't know what they're talking about, lovingly.
Exactly.
But if they do, and they have belief in me, well, they're probably right. Right. And so I really learned who to talk to. And yeah, that move to New York was huge. And then I got to do some background stuff here and there. And what really showed me I'm not too tall was Men in Black 3. Rick Baker, 6-time Oscar-winning makeup artist, won his 7th while filming. I got to play several aliens. One day on his birthday turned into a week, turned into several weeks, several characters throughout the whole production. And that changed everything. I just saw, man, I can work with the top people in the world because they need somebody my height who's also an actor who can also push through wearing all of this crap all day long and being blind and claustrophobic and still act through it. I can freaking do this. And that really took my belief to a whole new level at that point.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. That's really amazing to hear. So I have a question. Speaking of Rick Baker, and I mean, he is the king of the apes.
Yes. Yeah.
I love that you were in Men in Black, and those characters were very cool. But I have a specific question about Rampage.
Okay.
What was it like? What was it like playing George, doing the motion capture? How did you prepare for that?
So for that, I got Death Note, and the visual effects supervisor was this guy named Colin Strauss, who became one of my groomsmen in my wedding. Awesome guy. And need to catch up with him, actually. It's COVID kind of, we haven't spent as much time together. We used to get together all the time. But on that, with Ryuk being 95% practical, the only thing not practical is the face. They cut out the face, and that's going to be performance capture for Willem Dafoe. Well, every shot that Ryuk is there, he's there as the visual effects supervisor, and he kept talking about Rampage as the next movie he's doing with The Rock. He had just done Baywatch, and he had also done San Andreas, he just kept talking about it. I was like, oh, it's so cool. But never any mention of, but then we get back to LA, and we're at his house for barbecue every couple of weeks for a couple months. And third or fourth time, couple months after we've been back, he's flipping burgers and steaks at the grill, and he just asked me, hey, what do you know about gorillas?
That's awesome.
I was like, I don't know. Why? He's like, what about like silverback gorillas? I was like, no, I don't even know what silverback is. And he said, well, they're looking for someone taller than Dwayne just for this first scene in Rampage to play, this gorilla he raises from birth and teaches, kind of like Coco and Penny Patterson. And, I'm going to tell them that you're my top guy. They're probably going to get Andy Serkis for the rest of the film. But for this first one, they need someone taller than him so he can have to look up whenever you go on your back legs and bipedal. So, they're probably going to want to meet with you in a week or two. I was like, awesome. That'd be amazing to work with again. The Rock, oh my gosh. And share a role with Andy Serkis. That'd be crazy. And every couple weeks we kept in touch. He said, oh man, this happened. And there was this fire they had to put out probably the next week or two, or the next week or two, the next week or two. 5 months later, I'm thinking the whole time, let me watch every Andy Serkis interview. Let me watch every behind the scenes. I find out who Terry Notary is. I reach out to him, but he's busy. So he just says, good luck. Let me go to the zoo. Let me do everything I can. And then I get my agent gets a call, and I'm like, oh, cool. So how long will they need me? He said, no, they want you for the whole thing, maybe. I was like, whoa, I thought I was doing like the first week or two. What do you mean? He said, no, like they're talking about 10 weeks and with training before. And they were going to just fly me out to meet with Brad Payton in Atlanta. But then they said, well, actually, they're going to have Terry Notary, who trained everybody in Planet of the Apes, and he is King Kong and Kong Skull Island at that point about to come out. This was this is February of 2017, and that came out in March of 2017. And he met with Brad, and they said, so what you're going to do is actually, he's going to come to LA, you're going to meet with him and do like a faux training session for an hour, hour and a half. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I'd known who he was. And so I met with him, and he's just the coolest guy. He's just the sweetest. He can see into your soul. You cannot lie to him when you're performing. There was one time I stood up, and he's like, no, that wasn't it. Sit back down. He gets you breathing first. And then I stood up again, and he's like, there, you feel that? And I was like, yeah, how do you know what I felt? That looked the exact same. And he's like, no, I can see it. And I was like, my God.
Yeah.
And then he just said at the end, like, cool, man, I'm going to give him 2 thumbs up when we train. Actually, there's this spot in the mountains off Topanga Canyon Boulevard that I like to go to. I don't want to be in a studio. And I was like, do I have this role? Is that it? And that was it. As far as I know, they didn't look at anybody else. They just took Colin's word, and I met with Terry, and Terry was like, I can train you. And then we trained for 3 weeks in the Santa Monica Mountains, went out to Atlanta and rehearsed some with Brad so he could see what we were working on. And I mean, the first week we were training, that Friday, Kong Skull Island came out. And I'm like, dude, King Kong is teaching me how to be a gorilla one-on-one in the mountains right now. This is ridiculous. And so I probably put like 2% of it together by myself for 5 months. And then he brought in 198% with his one-on-one training. He is, I mean, the same time he was training me, he was training Josh Brolin as Thanos. He's ridiculous. That's yeah. So that was the prep. And then we went out there, and a longer story, but I thought I had hurt my arm. I thought I had like broken something in it, and we didn't tell production. We just kind of pushed through, and then found out that it wasn't. We're like, oh my God, thank goodness. I thought I was going to lose the role. I had like a panic attack one night. And then just it became so normal. Tony Hawk trained me how to do a trick on a skateboard. So to me, all this stuff was a big deal. And then we did the camera test. And it was the first time I had done any of this in front of anybody. And we did a couple things, and we were done with the camera test, and everybody gave a round of applause. And I was like, I guess everybody's like, yay, you got your camera test for, you know. And then actor after actor came through, and they weren't applauding everybody. And everybody kept coming over to me like, how'd you do that? And I was like, it's not that big a deal. You should see Terry. I mean, we did this every day for 3 weeks. Yeah. And, but that was the first click of like, man, maybe this can actually be really good. And then we got on set with Dwayne every day, and I could talk all day about him. And in a sentence, I freaking love him. He's cooler than you hope he is.
Yeah.
Every day. And it was an incredible experience. Incredible dream come true experience I never thought would happen.
That's so awesome.
Did you play the original Rampage game at all in prep?
In prep, no. When I was a kid, yes. Like on 64, I played Rampage World Tour. I remember playing it with a friend.
Okay.
I don't remember who I played as. It's a good story to say I'm sure I played as George, but I don't remember.
Fair enough.
So I have to ask this because it's a personal favorite of mine. It's the reason that one of the reasons I became a monster maker in the first place. You played King Ghidorah.
Yeah.
Godzilla King of the Monsters, which is absolutely top of my list.
Wow, yeah, it's weird.
Having you on here is a real treat for me because, like I said, you know, you played such iconic characters that mean stuff to my family, to myself personally, and you know, I'd like to know more about. Give me a story about King Ghidorah.
Sure. So that was we filmed that in 2018. But rewind to the fall of 2014, and then an audition came through that I saw because they were looking for someone so unique to play the monster Krampus in this new movie Krampus that's coming out.
Oh, yeah.
And it just described him, and I was like, dude, I'd freaking do that. That's what I'm aiming to do. And I called my agent. He saw it on his end. He almost missed it because it was just so. He's like, oh yeah, I'll get in, and got me a Skype with director Michael Dougherty. And I'd never had any kind of a meeting with the director. I was so nervous. I had like a laptop on like 16 books on a table to make it look nice. And this is before we did all this stuff all that time, a lot. And he shows me around all this art and concept art. And we talk for 30 minutes. And then I get a text, and it's from some unknown number telling me to watch this movie and watch that. And it's him. And somehow he got my number from casting or something. Like, oh my God, it's not casting there. No way. And then he had sent me some stuff, you know, to film, and I just went all out with it. We filmed it, you know, as best as we could. And I'm still to this day proud of it. It came out really great. I really threw myself into this, and he loved it. He said he'd let me know. I wasn't cast, but he said, I'll let you know whenever the location. location gets locked down, and it got locked down to, I went to Weta Workshop, and I'm a huge Lord of the Rings nerd. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm going to get to be Krakus with the Weta Workshop and go to New Zealand to be in this? No, what? This is it. Yeah. And then they said, man, I'm so sorry. They're only going to be casting it locally out of New Zealand because of just, all the fittings. And actually a now friend of mine, Luke Hawker, ended up playing him, who actually also makes those suits and stuff. So, but Mike and I kept in touch. And when the Rampage trailer came out, I was like, refresh. Where is it? I know it's coming up any minute. Refresh. And like, I refresh it. And before I even watch it and finish it, I get a text from Mike saying that he saw it. And then it like a link that it came out. I was like, how did you see it before I did? And he said, dude, looks cool. Good work. I was like, oh, that's cool. And this was like November of 2017 or something. And then fast forward to like January 2018, I get a text from him at like midnight. He always texts me like midnight. And he says, hey man, are you in town next month? We're doing some Godzilla motion capture stuff. Are you free? I'm like, yeah, what does that mean? He didn't get back to me for several days. And like every day I'm like, did you get my text? What did you mean? Like, dude, you're leaving me hanging here. And he got on the phone with me for 5 minutes and explained to me, I'm going to get 3 actors to play King Ghidorah. I want, as the 3 different heads, they're going to be like, and I want you to be the center head. You're like the alpha, the big brother of the 3. The right one's like kind of just bat crap crazy. And the left one's a little bit more slower and just interested in everything and not so aggressive. And, but I want you to be like the leader of the 3. I don't know if I'm going to tie you guys together or what, but, do you want it? I was like, yeah. He's like, cool. Well, hey man, we're finally going to get to work with each other. So, hey, text me like, your agent's info and stuff. I'll give it to production and dude, I'll see you next month. And I was like, and I remember like I stepped into my bedroom to have that call and I stepped out and like my roommate at the time and my girlfriend at the time, now my wife. And I was like, I'm going to be in a Godzilla movie. like that. And, I'm going to go buy some whiskey. I'll be right back. Like, I'll be right back. This is awesome. Yeah. And that's where I met, I met my 2 Ghidorah brothers, met Richard Dorton and Alan Maxon, and then T.J. Storm, who plays Godzilla. And we just threw ourselves around on the carpet and actually before we actually filmed for 3 days and just became kids on the carpet. I got to go in and have a meeting with Mike Doherty, Oscar winner Guillaume Rocherin, visual effects supervisor from Life of Pi and so many other things. And they showed me on a laptop all this pre-visualization of the scenes.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, we're going to film this and it's going to look like
amazing, isn't it?
Really good. Yeah. For people who don't know what previs is, it's like PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 graphics of like what the movie would look like. And I was just like, man, I'm meeting in this up in Legendary's offices in this big, massive conference room. And there's just us in here. They're showing me a laptop of stuff. And I was like, this is so freaking crazy. And Rampage is a couple months from coming out. I'm like, dude, this year is going to be nuts. Texting with Dwayne, like, dude, I can't wait to see you at the premiere. You too, man. It was just like, this is insane. And then we filmed it. Actually, before we filmed it, myself and Alan and Richard, we all sat how we would be. We got to go to a screening room at Legendary and watch the movie as it was with the pre-visualization because they filmed everything the year before. And so we're sitting there high-fiving about stuff, and then Richard's head gets ripped off. Oh no, you die. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yes. Like we were all freaking out together. It was so cool. And a couple Legendary people sitting behind us probably making sure we're not recording anything. and then we shot it for a few days and it was just 3 7.5 hour days. No, like right under overtime, like every single day. And then the trailers came out and we were just like, it's the most beautiful looking thing ever. Oh my God. How can this not be good? This looks amazing. And where I was at Comic-Con when the trailer came out and like, I didn't have it. I was out of town. So all I had was my phone. So I pulled over, put in earbuds and watched it a couple times on my phone. And I told Mike later that night at a party, like, dude, he's like, you watched it on your freaking phone? And I'm like, well, that or not watch it. So like, yes, I watched it. Okay. I wasn't going to not watch it. But it looks amazing. He's like, okay. But Mike's awesome. And I so look forward to whatever we get to do together in the future. He's such a fun guy to work with. And then we got to do conventions all over the country in 2019. Got to go to the premiere and meet everybody for the first time and the whole cast, and which was really cool, and then watch it at the Chinese theater. So it was great. It was pretty crazy, man. That was just a crazy experience just because in 2014 I had auditioned for this thing and thrown myself into it and it didn't work. But seeds had been planted and Mike liked me and trusted my work to where he just got on the phone and offered it to me. Yeah. And so, yeah, it is all about who knows you and likes you and trusts you.
Absolutely.
And that also gave me time to book other work to show him you can trust me, like Death Note, like Rampage, for him to say, we did that, then he can totally do this. Yeah. So it's sometimes a door closes, but there's a seed there and it might not sprout for 5 or 10 more years. So you just never know.
As a follow-up to kind of both George and Ghidorah, George is based on something that actually exists, and you can find reference pretty easily. When it comes to Ghidorah, there's it's not an actual thing that exists that we know of. Is it more challenging to do mocap for Ghidorah or George?
George, because you can compare George to something.
Okay.
Yeah,
and you can compare it to Andy Serkis.
Okay, yes.
And you can compare it to Toby Kebbell, and you compare it to Karen Conoval and Terry Notary, and oh my God. And so I definitely didn't want to be like, why'd they get him? Why didn't they just get one of them? So I poured myself into Godzilla as well and did everything I could. But yeah, I mean, Godzilla, for Ghidorah, I could look at like Komodo dragons, and they're kind of like a snake from the waist up their neck. And so kind of looking at that, but it's all really about, for me, from in here,
it's imagination.
How do I look out from my eyes and feel like this character? And a villain never, I looked at it as like a villain never judges himself as the villain. They think they're the hero. They think that they're, you look at any interviews with anybody in prison, they all have justifications for exactly why they had to do what they did. Or Al Capone felt like he was a public servant. He felt like he was trying to give everybody a great life, and man, they're gonna. So you have to look at it as okay, then why is he the way he is? Yeah, we'll move like that, but what's going to come out of my eyes and inform everything in the moment when I'm not thinking about it? And for me, it's like, well, if he's from another planet and he has 3 heads and he looks the way he does, probably from birth, everything tried to kill him or run away from him. And so he's very alone. The 3 of them are the only thing that he has. And because of how he is, and then the center, he probably got banged around. I'm probably more in control and more here. So maybe how I became kind of the big brother, and, kind of now, and forming a deep relationship and being in control of the 2 of them. And every time, I mean, when he wakes up from thousands of years in the ice, what's the first thing that's happening? He's attacked. So he's just constantly, to him, he's just defending himself. And so he gets attacked everywhere he goes. And so, yeah, he destroys everything. And so I never saw it as that he was he wakes up, he's always attacked. So he's just defending himself, and he's probably freaking lonely. And so I really felt bad for Ghidorah in that way, because he's doing the best he can. But
I think your performance definitely shined through, because you said, you actually felt for that character whenever you saw it on screen. You left your impression on that character.
Thank you. That went, and the whole team turning our performance into the visual effects that it is. Holy crap. I mean, otherwise it's you can see the behind the scenes. It's just us hissing and snarling and rolling around on carpet with our arms around each other, and all. Looks kind of dumb, but we just trusted. The 3 of us really trusted each other and instantly connected. Me and Richard and Al, and TJ's so great, and just a big kid filled with imagination and play. It was 4 guys who just, this is what we love to do, and we're grateful to be here, and we're such a great team, the 4 of us. So it was that, combined with the trust. You've got Guillaume Sharon with his Oscar from Life of Pi and all the work he's done, and you got Mike Doherty leading us. Like, we had no fear of anything. We're just going to play, and they're going to make it look amazing. So we were so grateful to be a part of it. So it was a quick experience. It was 3 days.
Right.
It was over. But the result of it lasts. And so it's always cool to meet other people who have such appreciation for it. We met people who flew over they said they flew over from Japan to a convention to meet us. And I'm like, now you're here and you're just saying that. There's no way. Are you kidding me? What? And we've got to meet so many people because of that. So it's really, that's what's really cool. The relationships and experiences that you have that come from that.
Absolutely.
And he is a lot like George. George knows every room and Ryuk as well. Every room that they walk into in Ghidorah, they're the highest status in any room. Who's going to mess with them, right? And so there's a lot of similarities in there, and then other people judge them whether they're good or bad, But the characters are actually very similar in my mind.
Yeah, what's cool about your explanation of that is, to me, like, I get fans that ask questions about, oh, well, what was the more challenging film or the most challenging film you've worked on, or the most challenging piece? But the point I try to get across is I don't necessarily have a favorite, because they're all such different challenges. And much like you have to really think through what you're doing, and think through the pieces, and think through the character and what it's going to do. And it's really the same in making these things, that
yes,
think about those. And I really do appreciate that an actor like you really takes all of that into deep consideration, and really pushes that through the character. I just think that's so amazing.
I honestly, I'm so grateful for the opportunities that I'm not the best. There's at least 100 people out there who could have done a better job than I did, but I wanted to do everything I could to bring my best. I was the right place, right time, and got chosen for it.
I don't know that I would say that. I don't know that I would say that there's people that do it better. There would be people that do it differently.
They would do it different. They would do it different, and
they might bring their own flavor to the table, so to speak. But I think that you bring a lot, my friend. I like
to get as high a score in anything I do as possible. In video games, sure. I want to prepare. I want to come in. I want to get first place in my own lane. You know, I'm not competing against other people. We're a team, but I see it as such a great responsibility that, like, dude, when you shoot those scenes and they say, great, got it, moving on, that's it. So, like, I don't want to figure out what I should have done afterwards.
Right.
And sometimes you have that feeling, you're like, oh, if we could do that scene from yesterday, it's great, but dang it, something just clicked. Crap.
Any artist in this craft, like whether it's even a director, I would say, you know, that's always a question in your mind. How could you have done something better? And as an artist myself, even if I go and sculpt something or I'm doing something, I look at things and I say, I could have done this differently or that.
Sure.
But it doesn't necessarily translate to the audience that way. They see it how you've done it, and they I look back at some of the films I've done, and I'm like, I could have done so many things so differently.
Oh yeah, I see that with me too.
We're our own worst enemies when it comes to those things. So I have to say, as a fan of your work, that you bring a flavor to it like nobody else.
Thank you.
You could do it differently, but they certainly are not necessarily better than.
Yeah, it's different. It's different, and all I can do is bring my best. And my best is different every day, right? Depending on what's happening and circumstances and whatnot, if I have a limp that day or whatever. But bringing my best, and then I think as we grow, we're always growing, getting better. I think that's one thing that really drives me to want to find the next. I get hungry for the next project because I know, I have ideas of how I can do everything a little better. I can improve on the recipe a little bit more. I'm excited for the challenge of what's the next character. So that's what gets me excited about the next project, because I can get a new high score. I can beat it. I can do even better, you know. So and it's a new challenge in all of itself, because it's always, even if it's the same character in it'd be a different story. It'd be different challenges. And so I love those challenges and those problem solving. How do we figure out one take at a time to where it's all going to come together? I love it. I love the whole process.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to work on a film in general, just because you're doing so many kind of modules, and once you see them all put together, it's a pretty great feeling.
It definitely.
And it is certainly a team effort. I mean, without all of those people that really know what their craft and what they're doing, you know, it doesn't really translate well unless you have that chemistry. So. Yeah,
and you got to trust the director that I'm going to row my oar, and I'm trusting we're going in the right. I can't see, but I'm trusting we're going in the right direction because I trust you, because you're on the ship with us. So if we go down, you're going down with us.
Right.
But if we get there, you get there because you helped us all get there. So like there's that, there has to be that trust and connection. So I love building that tight connection and trust with the director as well. And I've been very lucky to have nothing but great directors. If someone asks me, who's your favorite director? They're all awesome. I feel I'm a very positive person, but they're all awesome. So yeah, I love that aspect of that team and building something together. And it's all a secret when you're building it, kind of.
Yeah.
Maybe they know it's happening, but they don't know how it's happening.
Right.
And then you're excited to show it to people, and hopefully it doesn't suck. And if it sucks, well, we'll come home from it, you know?
I know that feeling well.
Yeah.
That's great. So man, that's pretty incredible stories. And I'd like to know, so tell me a little bit about how you got approached for Hellraiser. How did that take place?
Hellraiser, I'd been approached about a couple things that didn't go through, but I mean, when this came through, it had been about 1.5 years since I'd done anything. You know, this was, COVID had hit. Last thing I worked on was at the end of 2019, and then, COVID had hit, obviously, and we go a whole year, and there were a couple things kind of close, but didn't happen, and then had one or two big things actually right before couple big things that right before Hellraiser that fell through, and I was just like, no, I was so close. Like it was, oh no. And then Hellraiser came, it came up as an audition through my manager because his assistant at the time saw it and was like, dude, Jason, and it was called The Box. And the character was Clacker, and I had no idea what it was, but I read the description and I was like, what the crap is this? This sounds weird. Sounds like I'm perfect for it based on what they're looking for. like the description of this character, like, and they're looking for experience in this build. Oh my gosh. Like, and I tried to figure out, because I like to a lot of times find out, well, I wonder who the makeup artists are working on this. So I texted a couple people, and one person at a shop was like, oh, we actually had to pass on that because we were so busy, but you know what that is, right? I was like, no. They're like, it's Hellraiser. I was like, oh, I'd never seen a Hellraiser at the time. I'm like, oh really? Oh dang, that's cool. So like 30 years of, I mean, they haven't been the biggest budget things the last few, from what I understand, but from what I understood, this was going to be bigger budget than all of them combined. And I was like, wow, they're really doing it this time. This sounds awesome. And David S. Goyer is producing, and you've got, great director and David Bruckner, man. Okay, awesome. And so I just got the scenes, and I worked with a couple people that helped me with auditions. One guy named Lauren Salm, who's he's a great actor and coach, but he's a specialist at mime and movement, and so I was like, dude, no dialogue. Yeah, they helped me figure out this character, and we just talked about where this character came from, and I just felt like after like an hour and a half, I get this guy. He's not a weird guy who just goes around and chatters his teeth. No. I get why he is and who he is. I get this dude. Okay, now we just need him. We came up with just what are the most interesting moments and movements and way we can communicate this character. What I like to do is I like to get my laptop and position it and give myself space and just record it and watch it. I'm going to fix that and that. Okay. Record it and watch it and just over and over until it's like tying my shoes, and I don't think about it. And it's just in me, and I can just be freaking focused in on it. And I went in and I taped it. And I felt so great about it. I came out of there like, oh, like I crushed that. If I don't get that, who the crap got that? It looked so good. Sometimes you feel good and you watch the tape and you're like, how I felt doesn't come through. Dang it. I need to do another take. I need to, and I sent it in, and then manager a few days later said, you're pinned, which means it's you or one or two other dudes. And then he called me with my agent on the phone and said, you got an offer. And I was like, oh yeah. I freaked out, and I just seen a friend, and I drove home and I played music loud, and I was like, yeah, I was screaming. I was so excited. I was like, dude, I get to go to Serbia for 3 months, and yes, oh my gosh, this freaking awesome character. And then I read the script, and I'm only in it for like 5 minutes. Like, what? I thought he's like a big character, and like, I mean, I guess he is, but like, I'm on like 3 pages out of the whole script. Like it's just like, and he's there and he's gone. That's it. Okay, but the scenes were so cool. He's actually the first one. I think he's the first in the film. I know I was the first Cenobite on set. I think he's the first one you see. No, it's after. It's after the whole in bed. She freaks out and sees me standing there watching. But I was so stoked to get that opportunity, and they actually only ended up needing me for 5 weeks out of the 10. I still got paid for the whole thing, which is great. But they're like, we always need you for 3 weeks, then we don't. So if you want to go home, yeah, sure. And then we need you for a couple more weeks, and getting to explore Serbia. They're just the experience of going to Serbia, going to Europe. That's the furthest I've ever been away from home. I got flown and put up. That's the dream. You're in Europe and doing this, and nobody knew anybody in Belgrade, Serbia. So everybody was away from home together. So it was really a tight-knit group. Yeah. 12-person text of who wants to go to the park tomorrow, who wants to get dinner tonight. I'll make reservations. So it was really tight. Hang out in each other's hotel rooms, having tea at night till it was way too late. And like, it created that we're away at camp feeling that was very special. Yeah. And it had been 1.5 years since really a lot of people had worked on anything. So like, we were super grateful for this opportunity when the large percentage of the industry was not working. So we were very grateful. Nobody took that for granted, and everyone worked their freaking butts off, and filming actually the exact same time that the Knives Out sequel was filming, Glass Onion. And a lot of them were staying in the hotel room. Saw Dave Bautista a couple times, and then like there's a spa, and someone said like they were in the hot tub, and Edward Norton came down and hung out in the hot tub, and I was like, I'm in the spa every day, and he didn't come down there. What? I want to be in the hot tub and hang out with Edward Norton. Are you kidding me? Dang it. But there are actually a lot of things filming there. So like, I bump into somebody in the sauna, and they're filming an episode of whatever. I'm like, that's so cool. And we can't see each other, but we're talking about whatever we're working on in the steam room. And it was just a great experience. It was a great experience, and extremely challenging wearing that dude. Yep. And but so much fun. Really helped me go into like another place entirely. And had the best crew on that, from top to bottom. Yeah, that was a very special experience. Yeah.
Yeah, a friend of mine, Ken, worked on this. You know Ken?
I know Ken. Yeah.
Ken's a good friend.
He helped save me one night. Yeah, he's artist. Love him.
Yeah, he was awesome.
What was your first reactions and thoughts to seeing yourself in the full Chatterer makeup?
The first thought was, what's going on below the waist? Because if you pause, there's something going on down there.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I mean, I'm not going to say no. We're going to do it. But he's kind of naked and he's got an alteration down there. That's interesting.
These Cenobites go more skin, less leather clad.
Yeah. He's had like a surgery down there or something. I mean, the first time I got on a Zoom with director David Bruckner, he showed me concept art. I was just like, oh, that looks like something Doug Jones would be in a Guillermo del Toro movie. Oh my gosh, this is going to be so awesome. But the first time I got it on, it was like 100 degrees in the summer here in LA before we went over there. And it was in an unair conditioned, shop. Oof. And profusely sweating, and I know, well, it won't be this hot over there. It was the first day on set. You get a head on for the first time in a while. This weird claustrophobia comes over and you're just like, you've been here before, breathe through it, you'll get used to it. I don't like this, why did I say yes? You start, oh my gosh, because your eyesight is like through that. That's what you can see. And let's open it up for you. There you go. And you're just, and then you get the fiberglass helmet on with the chattering teeth and animatronic, and you feel like you got your head in a bucket with a typewriter. You can't hear anything, and someone has to tap you on the leg for action because you can't hear them say action. But the fitting was like, man, okay, that's probably the worst that it could possibly be. Just being in that for a couple hours, profusely sweating. Whew, that was warm. So
silicone?
Silicone rubber. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, head to toe. And
it's bad in foam latex, but silicone's like 10 times worse.
It was sweaty, several people, I think a couple times even Ken, just completely lubing up my body, and because you got to slide into the legs and the torso. There's no zipper for the torso or anything, so we had to slide into it. It was tight, so it was like, it took some energy getting that thing on, and then once I'm in, there's no bathroom option.
Yeah.
And I'm just in. There's no 10-1 option, no 10-2 option. So just hold it one day for like 7 hours straight, and I had to go after like 6 hours, like 1 hour in. So I'm sitting there being like, your mind starts playing like, is it healthy to hold it this long? And you're like, well, I hold it this long when I sleep, so I'm sure I'll be fine. And I'll drink water later. I'll be fine. And
grueling.
But yeah, first time I got it on, that was the thought. Like, well, there that is. That's interesting. That's just out there. I wonder what my parents will think of this. And but you never really see it in the film. But they kind of crop that out. But and just how beautiful it looked, and how hot it was, and just okay, I just got to breathe through, because that's half most of the job when you're in there, breathing through it. When they say action, you forget about all. Mm-hmm. And then when they say cut, you're sitting there waiting. 90 to 95% of the time, you're just sitting in this thing, and you can't see, and you can't hear, and you can't breathe, and you got to pee, and you're just telling yourself everything's fine, because you get really weird in your head, and you try and find someone, and you're like, who's that? Oh, I love you so much. You're so awesome. Thank you for being so awesome. And like, you pop it to me out, and you're gonna have a panic attack. But it was a great experience.
Earlier you said whenever you found out that it was a Hellraiser project that you really weren't familiar with the franchise. Prior to that, did you go back and watch the first two films?
I did. I don't remember if it was fourth audition or if it was once I had it or what. I don't remember the timing of everything. Yeah, I definitely at some point before I got the role, I had watched 1 and 2, and just saw how great they were, and because I just kind of had my own idea of Chatter. I pulled from and I watched clips of Chatter instant and just saw everything I could. But then watching the film from beginning to end, I think I watched the first film before the audition, and then a second one after. It's kind of weird to hear. But yeah, I mean, they're obviously just so great. The second one takes it to such a scale, which is how I love how ours kind of borrowed from both of those, but made it their own as well. They're just so great. I mean, they're classics. They're just classics. I really hope that we get to make another one too and dive more into what else is going on in that labyrinth or whatever, like what, that's where I want to go. I want to go in the labyrinth and find out what is in there. What's in that? Like, it looks empty, but there's crap in there, right? It looks like the place of nightmares. I feel like I've had a nightmare in some stone dark place like that before, where something is chasing me, and I want to just explore there more. Yeah.
So as we wind things down here, I have to mention, are you a Trekkie?
I have only seen so much Trek, but I did get to be in Star Trek Picard, actually.
Yes. And
I was going to be a recurring character, and after the first episode, evidently they went over budget, and so they cut some characters, and I was...
Oh, no!
Yeah, I was on set with Patrick Stewart and everything, and working with some great makeup artists who I loved, and they basically were who got me on. I didn't even audition for it. It was just a straight up offer because they vouched for me, which was so awesome. Vincent Van Dyke and others. Really cool character, and never even got on screen. Was just kind of hung out the first day and then found out, yeah. So I was like, no.
Oh,
But it's interesting. I worked on the first episode, but I'm credited in the second one, but I was never on screen anywhere. So like, this is weird. This is altogether weird. I still get little residuals. It's very little. But every 3 months, like, there's another, $100 from, yay, awesome, cool. We can go get some dinner. But
yeah.
But it's just to be a part of it's cool. And James McKinnon asked me to come back to play. It was either that character or another character, but I was out of town doing Hellraiser. I was like, bro, dude, I want to so bad. James McKinnon's awesome. And then he asked me to do something else last fall, and I was out of town as well. I was like, dang it, man. Like, I promise you, I want to work with you. Like, you're awesome, but yeah.
It's hard to turn down work, right?
It is, yeah. You don't know where the next thing is, and so you gotta, unless it sucks, you kind of got to be in that position of like, is it something? Is it a project I'd like to be in? Is it a role I'd like to do? Mainly what I look at is, are there people involved who I want to work with and become friends? That's the biggest thing. It's not what you're doing, it's who you're doing it with. And so if there's something with people working on it where I want to do it, I'm in. But then inevitably one or two other things pops up and you're like, it's those dates? Are you serious? Yeah. It's that exact weekend? Are you serious? That's those are the 3 days, the whole next few months I can't do.
Yeah.
Well, good luck. I can't wait to see it. That's just how it works out.
Yeah. Sometimes it's that way.
Any final thoughts or questions for him, Nick?
I don't, other than, I have some projects I'd love to have you on, but that's another conversation.
Talk about it. Let's talk about it.
I've really enjoyed having you here. I really appreciate taking the time to come on in your busy schedule. I know that you have a thing you need to get to tonight. So, we will let you go, but I would love to have you back another time to talk about some more of this stuff.
I would love to. I mean, it feels like we just started 5 minutes ago, and it's really weird to be like, wait, but what? We're done? I would love to. And if for anybody who's listening who wants to be an actor or wants to do any of this, please know that you can freaking do it. Please know that if you knew me, and if you knew my story, if you saw how panic attacky I was and anxiety, I couldn't even go to school in middle school or high school some days because I was so worried in my head and I couldn't go to college because I had 2 weeks of a panic attack every night. I would have to go home, and like the idea that I've gotten to do any of this stuff, like I've talked to some of my friends from high school and they lovingly agreed, like, yeah, we never thought you were going to do anything like that. Are you kidding me? It's like, I didn't either. But if you have like a dream or a vision of where you want to go, and you figure out from people who know what they're talking about, people who have been there, people who have the results, right? They're kind of like GPS. They know how to get from where you are to where you want to go. And if you listen to them and you start taking taking steps in the right direction, and you're willing to fail, and you're willing to look stupid, because you're going to have to miss in order to make some shots. And you just get better, and you get better, and you get better, and you get better, and you get better, just 1%, eventually you're going to be good enough to fit something. And if you're a good person, because nobody wants to work with a jerk who complains and who's unaccountable, but if you're a good person and you're nice and you have good energy and you're grateful, gratitude is huge in so many ways. Eventually somebody's going to have something come up where you're the best choice and they like you, so they'd like to have you on there. And so it's just, if anyone says you can't do it, they're freaking wrong. Look at all the people who have done it. There's room for everybody. 98% of actors don't make enough to live off of just from acting. But they have work, but they still have other money coming in from other places. But anybody listening, they can totally do it. It just takes enough time. It's not magic. If you get around people who have the results, that's what I did. I moved out to LA because I knew all the makeup artists were out here, and Doug Jones became a mentor of mine, and I got advice from people like Doug Tate and Brian Steele and all these other. I just reached out and said, hey, I'm trying. Can you? Any advice? Doug Tate's so great. He was on Star Trek Picard as well.
Sasquatch.
Love Doug Jones.
Amazing people, and you're absolutely right. If you're surrounding yourself with the positive influence and the people that know the business, and
100%,
will help you.
100%. And then you just have to do the freaking work. If you have a gym card and you have a personal trainer, nutritionist, you still have to do it.
Yeah.
And so if you put in the work and you have a great attitude and you just keep your dream in front of you, and just like, honestly, if somebody doesn't believe in where you're going, you got to cut ties with them. Like, if you want to go to Goat Mountain, greatest of all time mountain, and somebody doesn't believe in you, dude, Kobe Bryant didn't have time for those people. And so it's just, you got to get around the people who believe in where you're going. And if you get around one person who's achieved what you've achieved, the advice I've gotten from Doug Jones that has helped so much, I could talk for hours about that. That's sweet, sweet man who believed in me kind of before I believed in myself. Then eventually you believe in yourself, and eventually you have the confidence, and eventually you start to book one thing and a second thing and a third thing, and you're like, how did this happen? So you can freaking do it. Just get around people who have what you want, do what they did, and you'll have what they have.
Yeah, absolutely.
So well,
where can we find you on the web?
You can find me sometimes on Instagram if there's something cool to post about. Otherwise, you're probably like, I posted more in a couple weeks when Hellraiser came out than I did for like the year and a half before that. Because I couldn't talk about Hellraiser, and so I'm not on there much. But I love using that for messaging and whatnot. But Instagram, I'm official now. I'm officially me, the Jason Liles. TheJasonLiles, because Jason Liles is taken. So I am the Jason Liles. all one word, no underscores or anything like that. You'll find me on there. Probably, I don't even know what the picture is. I think it's me and my wife. But yeah, say hey on there. I check the messages every now and then. Like, I'm just not on there too much, but that's the place where you can find me. I'm on Twitter, but I'm not on.
I can vouch for that.
Well, yeah, I check. That's how we got connected. So, but if you're trying to like help me like get followers or something, I don't care about that. So that's not going to go. You got to. But if you say hi or have a question, I'll probably respond. Because not that many people actually reach out to me on there, but yeah, Instagram, the Jason Liles.
Well, thank you.
Amazing time.
Yes,
TJ. I've had an amazing time talking to you, and I'm sure TJ will echo that. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Yeah.
Oh, seriously, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you,
man. Thank you guys for having me. It went by way too fast. We started 2 minutes ago. How's it over? But yeah, if there's anything I can ever do to help, please let me know. I'd love to chat again. Hopefully, obviously, something cool happens this year, then I'll have something cool to talk about.
Definitely.
Hopefully, you get a chance to return to Star Trek one day.
Hopefully.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for joining us in another episode of HyPODermic. Jason, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, and thank you for the words of wisdom at the end there. I hope everybody listening takes that and listens and runs with it as far as they can. Until next time, this has been TJ Bowser signing off.